The year is 1920, 12 years from when Frederick Osgood Page founded Paige-Detroit Motor Company, where they would build the most beautiful car in America. But before getting into all of it, I'm Jay. Welcome to What It's Like, the automotive channel that does mini documentaries on lost and forgotten cars from a world gone away. Post between 4 and 5 episodes each week, with engine episodes generally on Wednesday. History, specs, design. Most importantly, we show what these cars are like. If that sounds of interest, the channel that you will totally dig, subscribe and hit the bell icon next to it to never miss a video. Wait a second, do you hear that? Spring is finally here. If you have a cool car, especially looking for orphan cars and cars that never got the time of day, that's kind of our vibe here. But if you know me, I'm into everything. If you'd like to meet me and have your car featured on the channel, drop me a line at what_it's_like at a vintage web browser that no one ever takes seriously.com if interested. Frederick Osgood, what an epic middle name. Page was brought in to reorganize the Alliance Automobile Company in either 1903 or 1904. Sources conflict on the exact year. Reliance Automobile Company made pleasure cars, and then they switched to trucks exclusively. General Motors would buy Reliance, and then they would become their gateway into the truck market. Frederick Page would promote a roadster that was powered by a 3-cylinder, 25-horsepower, 2-passenger car designed by Andrew Belache, which would catch the eye of Harry M. Jewett, who wanted to get into the automotive market. He would supply capital to help start Paige-Detroit Motor Company in 1909. He would install Frederick Page as president, but the car wasn't as good as it once looked through rose-colored glasses. Jewett would remove Page as president and installed himself as president. Re-engineered the car in 1911. Paige-Detroit would simply be called Page. Page would get into commercial cars in 1918 and would build commercial cars until around 1923. After 1923, Page would just build passenger cars. Page would be known for their styling. Slogan: most beautiful car in America. In 1919, Page would offer a model that was fitted with a Duesenberg engine. The model would be known as the Page Linwood. In 1922, Page would offer a smaller companionship car called the Jewett, and would produce the Jewett until 1926. Page's claim to fame car was the Daytona, which they would produce from 1922 through 1926. It was a 3-seat sports roadster with a 6-cylinder engine. The Daytona had an extra seat in a secret compartment that slid out. Talk about a safety concern. Could you imagine if Ralph Nader saw that seat? Harry Jewett would sell Paige-Detroit to the Graham brothers in 1927. And with that, a new automotive manufacturer was born, Graham Page. Getting back to 1920, Page would offer two models, the Light 6, Model 6-42, which rides a wheelbase of 119 inches, and the Big 6, 6-55, which rides a longer 127-inch wheelbase. 1920 Page Model 6-42 series could be had in these body styles, but not limited to: sedan, 5-passenger touring car called the Essex, 4-passenger sports type Larchmont, 5-passenger coupe, 7-passenger sedan. Let's talk specs. It rides a wheelbase of 119 inches. It weighs 2,961 pounds. Price: $2,395, which is equivalent to you spending $37,401.76 in the year 2024. Total 1920 Page was 16,090 units. Moving on to engine. There's only one engine available for the Light 6. That was the 248.8 cubic inch displacement Flathead 6, 4.1 liters. It's good for 45 horsepower, 2,700 RPM. This is an estimate 90 pound-feet or 122 newton meters at 1,800 RPM, with a bore of 325 inches and a stroke of 5 inches. 3 main bearings, and it's backed with a 3-speed manual transmission. This 1920 Paige is currently on display at the Gilmore Auto Museum located in the companion barn on the second floor. Gilmore Auto Museum in Hickory Corners, Michigan is a must-see if you're an automotive enthusiast. They have stuff you only read about with over 300 cars on exhibit, going clear back to the Benz Patent motor wagon from 1885 to the new concept cars and lots of stuff in between. If you're in the Battle Creek or Kalamazoo area, be sure to check this place out. For hours of operation, directions, ticket pricing, be sure to click the link below after the show. Let's talk styling, starting with the bumpers or lack thereof. This car doesn't have any bumpers. Also notice where the leaf springs connect to. They come all the way out. Massive, absolutely massive headlights. My hand for reference, I have a 7.5-inch hand. Absolutely massive. I love the grille design of this car. It's not flat. It comes to an ever so slight point in the center. Paige badge in the center. This absolutely gorgeous modem meter with the wings. This car doesn't really have a center line per se. It's more or less a center hinge that goes towards the split windshield. Gorgeous spoke wheels. And just look at that intricate pinstriping. How the fenders flow into the running boards. A lot of people say that these cars from this era look very similar, but they all do louvers and the grills different. These louvers are slanted, a little bit backwards, and they're very small, petite. Running boards are pretty massive in the front, but it doesn't look like it tapers. I wear a size 12 shoe. And there's my foot for reference. And in the back, it's about the same size. This one has an external sun visor. Notice there is not a cowl. Small triangular windows in the front. 3 hinges on the door. This car does have drip rails that start right here and run the length of the cab area and back here. Just has a brake light in the center, spare tire. Notice there isn't a place to put a trunk. Doesn't have an external trunk on this car. Also notice where the leaf springs are in the back. They come clear out to the back, just like the front. This car is absolutely gorgeous underneath. The top is just like the bottom. Notice this door is framed all the way around. Also notice it doesn't open up very far. That's all the farther it opens. Also notice again how close the seat is to the wall. 7.5-inch hand, once again. Just look at how glitz this window crank is. Door handle to pull the door shut. Door handle to get out. Also has some bling around it. Coming down inside, the pedal box down here, clutch, brake. Just take a look at this interior. Just so you know, if you're bigger and you're thinking about getting a car like this, you can make the door go further if you make this strap longer. That's the only thing that's limiting the door of how far it opens. Here is what over the hood looks like. Here's what first person over the hood would look like. On to the button switches and knobs, starting on the left and moving right. There's these weird pegs that stand out. There's one here and there's one on the other side. I can only imagine those are to just hang hats on or various articles of clothing. I've never seen anything like it. Right below it, I believe that is the headlight switch. Key, actual panel light. Stewart speedometer with odometer and trip. Oil pressure, amp meter. Up above, you have windshield wipers. Notice they are manual. Not sure if that's original. Kind of sort of looks original, but the rear view mirrors are very slender at the top there. Very interesting. Never saw anything like that. The rear door is a lot like the front door, only it opens up more to allow more access into the rear compartment. Window crank for the big window, door handle to pull the door shut, door handle to get out. This one has a heater back here. That's what this is. Footrest, robe rail for heavy blanket in the wintertime to stay nice and toasty. There is a map pocket. Dome light in center. Curtains for the 6th window or the 3 window or however you want to say it. As well as curtain in the back. There's another curtain over there. This one does have a coat hook right here. It's an actual legit coat hook. It also has mirrors on the side. So there's a mirror there. There's also a mirror right there. Never saw anything like that. Very interesting. Taking a real quick gander, under the hood lies an inline flathead 6. The long cylinder attached to the firewall is a vacuum fuel pump, which feeds into an updraft carburetor. Horn is mounted on the top. Notice a single belt that drives the fan from the crankshaft. On the positive side, a very cool car from a world that just doesn't exist anymore. The pinstriping and attention to detail is on point, especially on the wood spoke wheels. Great interior space, striped seats, rear heater. It does have small rear view mirrors, which wasn't common in cars from this era, and it's something I've never seen before. Also has mirrors on the pillars. Very interesting car. Against it, parts are probably impossible to find because they only made 50 of these. This is the only one known to survive, or the only one known to be in restored condition, I should say. So if you have to get parts, you probably have to get them made. The engine is a bit noisy during operation. Front door doesn't open as wide as it probably should, and the seat to panel ratio is laughable. All right, now it's time for Would You Rather, 2 scenarios today. In the first scenario, would you rather have 1920 Barley or 1920 Paige or 1920 Hanson? I'm going to leave this here for a minute. If you need more time, feel free, pause the video. Moving on to the second scenario, 1920 Cleveland or 1920 Paige or 1920 Davis. Once again, I'm going to leave this here for a minute. If you need more time, feel free, pause the video. Now it's time for Name That Tune. First person to get both the name of the band and the song title correctly in the comment section will have their comment pinned to the top of it. Thank you all so much for coming out and watching this. If you'd like to get in touch with me, shoot me a comment in the comment section below. I read and answer all comments posted. I don't say that's for self-worth. I just say that if you post a comment on here, I will definitely read it. There are so many places that you go on YouTube or wherever that nobody reads any of the comments. I especially dig the stories and the memories that you guys share. Thank you so much for making this a car community. It's way more than a car channel. Till next time, toodaloo!